I'm gonna start recording.
Okay.
I'm gonna say the line.
Whoa! Are we recording already?
Ooh.
Brandon, what's that?
It's the new
Oh,
Moonray
Moonray.
page.
It's Moonray.
It's yesterday's page that I'm
Yeah.
initially today.
Put it closer to the camera.
I've got a thing on here where characters' kind of soul is falling from an ascended other world back into their head. So I did this little side
Oh,
panel.
I love it.
Dude.
This is like book 4 of Moonray?
Book 3.
Book 3, yeah.
The
Like-
end of book 3.
Really cranking those out.
Yeah, I gotta do. I'm set where I have to deliver 4 pages every week, and sometimes that's 6 pages. And then I'm trying to do this week. I have to do a cover as well. I have around here somewhere. No, I'm doing a cover for this book called Deep Slip. This is the pencils.
Deep Slip.
They're really rough. I'm gonna do them again.
It's amazing.
What a way to start the Bone Juice podcast.
Incredible. Eggroll,
man.
what have you got there, Eggroll? Is that...
Explain the backstory of this, Brandon.
Yeah, so that's an issue of Pop Gun. That was that anthology that Joe Keating edited.
Oh, yeah,
Pope
yeah.
cover.
We looked at this last week, didn't we? And I love that Paul Pope cover. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my story, that's might be the only thing of mine that I wrote and drew that I let someone else color.
How did you feel getting the pages back? Was it a weird experience?
Yeah, I mean, I don't let other people color my stuff, mostly because it's like such a part of what I do. And but yeah, I mean, it's cool to see kind of a different take on it.
It's when they draw like the shading and stuff, like that is like drawing basically. So it's like you're letting someone else kind of draw on your work, and if they're not if they're not as good as you, and they kind of like get the topography of your characters a little bit wrong, and no shade on the person who did this, of course, but like but for me,
I think it's good work. Hey,
Yeah.
what's the guy's name? It's been a long time. I know he did a Santa Claus versus some kind of Santa Claus image book as well. But
Dan, I don't even think it says it.
probably in the credits up front. I feel bad because it's been so long since I've looked at that story. You're talking about it, and I was trying to remember. I think it's about an assassin
yeah,
who kills someone and then eats
Yeah.
a part of the gun that keeps the memory.
Yeah.
I think I drew it on typing paper.
Is this the infamous hey Corey, I made the sound effect into ping?
oh yeah,
Oh, I think that was right. I think that was a King City thing. But yeah, because there's that. I did a diary comic when I lived with Corey Lewis, where Corey's a weird guy, and back then he was probably weirder than he is now. And yeah, so I Pang is this kickball comic that he had as like the sound effect of kicking a kickball, and so I was like, Corey, I used Pang as a sound effect. I was trying to do like a shout out to my housemate, my friend,
yeah.
and he got really angry about it. And he was like, "How'd you feel if I used the name of one of your comics as my thing? This isn't some throwaway thing."
Yeah, I'd be delighted.
And
yeah.
And then the end of it, I just have me like throwing something at his head that says King City as the sound effect.
It's good.
It's amazing.
Um,
That looks really cool though. Man, you guys have never been in bands
No,
not cool enough.
because that's what James was remarking upon, where it's like if you wrote a thing and letting somebody else draw all over it,
Yeah.
this is the essential function of almost every single musical group. Save probably like Michael Jackson. I don't know. Somebody who's like, notorious control freak
yeah,
over simple things, or Prince probably, you know what I mean? Like it's
Right, James Brown or something.
yeah, like dudes that
You're
were
in
just like
charge.
weird tyrants just calling the shots. But that's, I gotta tell you, it's a good exercise in patience.
I heard like
Yeah, well,
every single person who's in a band, there's always one person in the band that you just fucking hate and you wish wasn't there. Like that's kind of the truism for every single band that's ever existed. Like even Radiohead, you know.
God.
Right.
You know what sucks is that I'm always that guy.
Is that right?
I'm always that one. Yes.
you're like, I'm
Even
the
in my own
Lars
band,
Metallica again.
I'm the fucking most hated. Like, this fucking jerk, dude. Yeah, it sucks.
But on
Also-
coloring, James, I was always thinking about when I had to do jobs where colorists were hired. That's always the worst person. It's the hardest person to hire in comics because you need someone who's essentially as competent as the person illustrating the comic, but without an ego.
Yeah, it's really hard. It's so hard to find. And I've hired. There was a guy who's really cool actually. He's called Sejan. I'm gonna fuck his name up, but I think he's called Sejan Raj. And he's really talented, and he told me one of your books was like the influence for how I color. So I'm like, oh, perfect. Like I should definitely get you doing my thing. And he did like amazing work. But then I'm like, but what was I thinking for this? Like this isn't quite the emotion or the tone that I was thinking for this scene. So I kind of like had a second pass on it and kind of added my own thing to it. And after a certain point, it's like not his work anymore. It's like really, it's definitely difficult for me to sort of just relinquish that control to somebody else. Like I've never really had that ability,
Yeah, and I also have a little bit of a disdain for comic book colorists as
a profession.
Yeah, I remember when I used to do conventions, there were just people that were like super cocky about it, and I remember just being like, your whole job is a thing that I do when I'm like finishing up a page.
It's like one tiny aspect of my job is your whole job, basically.
Yeah. This podcast always brings out the worst part of me.
Well, yeah. God damn. I mean, that's a very interesting work process thing, though. Whereas like other mediums, I feel that's like an important part, only because I guess the scope, again, let's say like a movie or something like that, becomes really large, right? And directors don't really know how to, use like manually operate cameras so much, and then when they get in the editing room, they still don't know the software or something, so you kind of require, I assume, somebody else. And then other times, I mean, you guys are special, and also I will always sing your praises as being like exquisite talent that is very rare in this world, to be doing all of that by yourself. And it always seems like you guys don't need help, like with the coloring, like James, you said, like I got it back, and I was like, oh, the tone of this isn't exactly what I was going for. So like the specificity of that is really interesting to me. I don't know if that's just a comics thing or what, because there's a lot, like, again, my creative endeavors are not inside of comics creation, and it's always like, I guess, a little bit more of a collaborative effort. Well, maybe because of the scope, I don't really know, but
I mean, the difference between me and Brandon is that Brandon can finish 4 pages a week, and I really cannot. And so I really should be reaching out to other people to help finish my work, but it's I don't know, it's kind of hard. Like I think the only thing I can really do
is sheer desperation how I work these days.
Wait, what's that? What are you looking at, Eggroll? Is that? That's more in the pop gun. That's Marley. Yeah.
Marley Zarcone, whose comic Eggroll's looking at, is she's probably best known for a series called Shade the Changing Girl that was like a young animal series.
Yeah.
She was one of my housemates when I lived with Corey Lewis and James Stokoe and that whole crew.
Yeah. You'll recall that Brandon called Corey Lewis a weird guy, which I'm waiting for a follow up on. Like,
I don't even feel. I feel bad about being shitty to colorists, but no, Corey's weird.
Yeah. See, I've never heard you call him a weird guy. Like, we've always called him like a powerhouse, an eccentric, a character, a unique individual.
Yeah,
but I mean, but this is the first time I've just heard you say a weird guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's like, he's made of Rob Liefeld stock. He's like that type of dude. He's a really interesting artist and a really cool human being, but he's also insane.
Yeah. I always think of him as like a human Ninja Turtle. That's kind of his personality.
Wow. Yeah, I mean it in a very positive way. Like I'm glad that he's my friend, but he's definitely a weirdo. Yeah,
well, he's like I think he's so Corey, like for the listeners, like Corey made a comic book called Shark Knife, and he was like, I suppose, contemporaries with Brian Lee O'Malley. So Shark Knife and Scott Pilgrim book 1 both came out at the exact same time, and like Scott Pilgrim would show up in like Corey's things, and people said that like Corey was even based on Scott Pilgrim. I'm sure we've heard that a few times. Like we've said that on this podcast before, but like
that's just a true fact that O'Malley refuses to acknowledge.
Yeah, and I think Corey's genius is for like creating characters. Like he creates like these just compelling worlds and characters where you think, wait, this should be on like every Saturday morning on TV, or this is like should be famous, a thing that everyone talks about. but then he lacks the follow through. Like he can't pump out the volume of work. He can't like structure his stories in a way that is like that type of manga, which is really what he's creating.
Yeah, there's Scott Pilgrim showing up and
yeah, it just kind of so Corey could never really stick the landing and follow through with these amazing concepts. And but I always think
comics are all great. I just think that it's just there's not as many of them, and a lot of them are just photocopied small things. So
yeah,
it is just like he's like Rob Liefeld without the like attention behind him.
Yeah. Well, that's what I always think is like if he'd been born 10 years earlier, he would be like a millionaire. Like he'd be Rob Liefeld big. Like Shark Knife there'd be a Shark Knife movie at the very least, you know?
Yeah, well, Shark Knife outsold Scott Pilgrim when it came out.
Did it?
Like around in the beginning when they first both came out.
I didn't know that.
But I think the main thing was that Scott Pilgrim came out every year on the same date. And I was a horrible friend to Corey because I used to refer to Shark Knife 2 as Chinese Democracy, and then Chinese Democracy came out before he could finish it.
That's wild.
Which I enjoy the album, by the way. I think we've discussed this.
Holy Lord. Guns N' Roses count Chinese Democracy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank God. That's so you called his shot, and then Guns N' Roses delivered first.
I didn't expect Axl Rose to come through in year 7 or whatever it took to get that album out.
That's wild.
Right.
That's crazy.
Right.
Yeah. But he has this comic called Layered Jacket, and I always thought like, why doesn't like Brian Lee O'Malley or someone like write a script for Corey? You know, like because he has all these amazing characters that just like deserve like a proper piece of writing for them. So I eventually wrote a script for Layered Jacket, and Corey was like, "Oh, this is amazing, dude! I'm gonna draw this now." And then like 5 years later, he of course hadn't done it. So
did.
yeah, so I've been kind of trying to get that project off the ground, and I'm going to hopefully kickstart it this year. But I've got Brandon doing a couple of things for it, and what else? I've got a few people on board. Like I've got a cover by Glyn Dillon. Like do you know Glyn Dillon? Yeah.
Of Star Wars fame.
Of Star Wars fame, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I'm really gonna try and give it a
Those
proper.
new Stormtroopers, right?
Yeah, he designed the new Stormtroopers. He like Rogue One, I think, is kind of the masterpiece of like all the amazing design he did. Like the character Jyn Erso is kind of pure Glyn Dillon.
Yeah.
He did amazing work, and so we've got him drawing Corey's Layered Jacket. And
did he design K2SO?
I think he may have had a hand in it. That's like the kind of autistic Imperial droid.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I thought it was an excellent one. Like, how do you make a droid better than C-3PO and R2-D2?
I really like that droid. I like that. I like that movie. It's like it's the only one of those new Star Wars movies I like. You know.
It's the only one that I like. I remember it got a little hot in the movie section in the Bone Juice Discord because it was like I was singing Gareth Edwards' praises, like the novice, like an eventual director of Rogue One, and then dude was like, "It's all Tony Gilroy," and I was like, "All right, okay, sure."
What Rogue One is?
Rogue, yeah. Well, it's one of those things. Like Tony Gilroy, to me, he's like the guy who wrote L.A. Confidential.
Right.
Like everything he touches is gold, and it's the greatest movie that's ever existed. Or he came in and saved. Like he does it all the time. So like I found it pretty like kind of gross and ghastly when he did that interview. He was like, "Well, I essentially directed the movie."
Oh,
He's
wow.
like, "It was a mess," and it's like it's in an article, and I'm like, "Yeah, man, all right." So
wow.
that's fine. And the thing is that it got spicy in the comments, which I didn't. I was like, "Okay, it's cool."
I wasn't there for that. Was that by any chance a Buddy Cameron?
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Of course. So I just shut up. I was like, fine. I had not seen Gareth. I think it's Gareth Edwards. I think that's it. He did this new science fiction movie with Denzel Washington's son, whose name is completely escaping me right now. And it was the
guy from Tenet.
Yeah, that dude.
That Denzel Washington's child's name is the guy from Tenet.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
the guy from Tenet, Washington.
But I watched it and I was like, I go, oh, this is Rogue One. I'm like, all like light schemes, like framing everything. I'm like, all right, you can say Tony Gilroy came in and saved the day, but there's a DNA that I think that dude's got that's pretty sick. But it sounds like he's a little bit like your buddy. Not is it Corey? I think where he just can't piece it together on his own. He just can't kind of get there with it or whatever.
I feel bad characterizing Corey in that way because he is like living a happy life, and he's got a stall at the mall where he sells pins, and he's kind of he's in his own way he's crushing it. He's
John David Washington, by the way.
Nice.
It's a very forgettable name. Like
Denzel
is like, how
sick.
do you follow up Denzel? And like, John
David Washington.
Yeah.
Come on.
I think in the 21st century, if you're happy like 46% of the time, that's crushing it nowadays.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think because everybody's too busy being crushed.
Yeah.
I've been thinking a lot lately about how much more like I value peace in my old age. Like there's a bunch of drama going on in comics that I had strong opinions on, and I was just like, I can keep those to myself. Like people that want to engage with my work, I always think about, we speak positively about Dave Sim a lot on the Discord, but it's also like I also think that there's a bit of there, but for the grace of God go I, because I don't want to be like a crazy person that's like, sign this petition that you agree with my views so I can talk to you. It's like, just read my fucking comics. If you don't like me, I don't gotta know you. It's fine.
It's true. We do have the option of shutting the fuck up when it comes to these hot button issues. Like it's for a much easier life. The thing I heard about Dave Sim the other day is that he requires people to sign NDAs before they talk to him. So, like, if you're going to have a fax communication with Dave Sim,
that's no good. That's the worst thing I can ever hear about anybody. You want to communicate your contracts? Forget it. Like it's fucking done. No way. That sucks. That's the worst thing ever. I'm gonna add something to this. I guess. And it's one of those things where it's like, I thrive on conflict only because I enjoy a difference of opinion, but then also like bolstering the opinion. And a thing that bothers me is that we are like generally scared of conflict. It's really strange to me. I don't know. My grandma and grandpa were like from the Depression. They were like very stark, sort of like realist people. And it completely rubbed off on me. But I find that the communication's like clean, sometimes brutal, I guess, maybe if you're delicate or something. Brandon's right. You don't have to engage with this shit, and you can always shut the fuck up.
Well, there's a difference between public and private conflict too. Like, like it's weird with like something I go back to a lot with comics is like remembering what my job is, because I think a lot of people, especially on online comics, they think that they're like those people who like think it's important that they publicly speak on things that don't necessarily have to do with why people reach out to them. Like it's fascinating because especially I see with like there's accounts that are just like, here's a girl in her underwear who just posts nothing but things in her underwear, and then sometimes she'll be like, these are my feelings on abortion, and you're just like, that's not why anyone is coming to your page. And I'm trying to put a little, it sounds kind of limiting, but the internet is limiting and stupid. So it's like, I'll have complex nuance ideas in my printed work or, in my work and in person, but on the internet, I don't really need to, like, I'm not going to debate about, Israel and Palestine to strangers online. Cause to me, it feels like that's a really complicated thing that I don't trust every fact on.
Well, like a really simple one is like on my Facebook, like I would get angry at like reviews of Prince's The Black Album and like did they even listen to the same fucking album? And I just like write these long diatribes, and then I would think the people who followed me, like what did they follow me for? Because I don't think it was this, like they probably followed me hoping I was going to talk about comics or draw something or show them some artwork.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that. They can bring people into other things too, but I feel like at least from my point of view, it should be a fun thing.
Yeah.
Or something important, like it's something that's like really matters to you in your life, and you're like, this is impacting my work, and there's certainly reasons for that. And I guess I should say, like, I'm not trying to fault anyone that feels like they really want a soapbox. I am trying to be less of a bummer when people are giving me money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You remember that you're an entertainer, and people paid. People are essentially giving you their time to because they expect you to entertain them, I suppose, or they expect you to provide some kind of a service, which is just drawing things and showing them cool art, and but I suppose like there is a temptation that if you have a platform, you should use it responsibly, and that means kind of signal boosting issues that you find you think are important. So it's kind of like on the one hand this, but on the other hand that sort of a But I do go on.
Well, no, I was just gonna say I think we're all in agreement. I don't think there's any any contention about that. I'm just kind of always curious.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where I think, and I don't understand why this doesn't happen, because a lot of the times, like I remember like early internet 2008 2009, I got really stoked to like see non-expert people or people that were experts in one arena try to shift focus and talk about something in another arena. I was like, oh, this is a cool sort of thing. There's different insights that they're informed by because of the work that they do over there, whatever. And unfortunately, like that played out over not almost 20 years, is this inundation of people who like weren't asked to then comment on it. So it like kind of seems like it's spun out of control, because I really like when people are asked about something and then they give it. And I don't ever find a problem with that. So,
I like the cockiness that comes with coming up with insane. Do you know about Neil Adams' expanding Earth theory?
Yes, he believes that the Earth is hollow, right? I think
it's just an expansion thing. It's like there's the theory about all the anyway. The whole point is my theory about his theory is that he's somebody who intuitively became a really fantastic artist, and then decided that he also had these abilities intuitively with science, and I disagree.
That's it. Yeah, like I taught myself to do this one thing so I can teach myself anything. I self became an expert on this. Yeah, autodidactic.
It's fun also, so please, more craziness.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Dave Sim is the exact same, isn't he? Like he kind of mastered self-publishing and making the world's most popular aardvark comic, and so he's like, well, maybe I can solve every other aspect of humans.
I don't think Dave Sim understands the complexity of feminism. Is my current critique of him. Like you can't just say like feminism is this, because it's like, it's not even a monolith in any way. It's so many things.
Yeah, exactly. Like he has a I think people are in general agreement that Dave Sim doesn't know what he's talking about on that issue.
We need a resident expert in for that one.
Oh, Daphne?
For the
so listeners, the forthcoming Cerebus issue is the Cerebus episode is coming. Like so I want it to be a show and tell where we all kind of like come in with like things that we have personally done to spread the word of Cerebus, be it graffiti, be it creating crude memes to put on 4chan. Belittling a woman.
Nice.
Oh my god.
Just generally spray painting Cerebus any way you need, or like creating sets of emojis that people can use, or just like little things that kind of put Cerebus back into the public conscious. But we're waiting for Daphne, our resident Cerebus expert. She is she's like all her life suffered with grotesque acid reflux that has destroyed her teeth. Like even like 10 years ago, I was like making fundraising images to save Daphne's mouth. But finally, all these years later, Daphne is going to have a new set of pearly white gnashes that are titanium drilled into her gums, and she's going to debut them on this podcast. It's going to be a world exclusive, and she's going to share with us her Cerebus expertise. So that'll be the Cerebus episode, and I can't hype it up enough. It's going to be incredible.
That'll be cool. And Daphne's interesting. I used to do comics about Daphne for Vice, right? And I drew her once in King City. She's on a
yeah. She's in King City. Nice. Yeah, I drew her in the recent Doom Patrol as well. Like I've still been kind of like dropping her secretly into things.
Nice.
I say recently, it was like more than 5 years ago, but yeah.
Okay, I didn't know you guys were doing that. Also, I don't know how long you guys have known Daphne, but change what you just said. I'm like, okay, do you guys see Dread? The movie Dread, the 2012 Dread? Okay. Incredible flick. Mm-hmm. The albino dude in the audience, or in the in the lobby. You know which guy I'm talking about?
I think so.
He is a Daphne character. I think this guy was in I don't know. He's been in multiple things, and I wish now that you're saying it, I'm reminded of it. But this dude has been in like a ton of movies and cameo roles in audience, like in extra roles or whatever.
Yeah.
And how when are you guys gonna put me in your comics?
Oh, okay. Is that what that was leading to?
You just have to ask.
Yeah, you just got to ask. We'll put you in.
Oh no,
Brandon, James, can you put
I
me
don't
in
want
your
to ask.
comics?
Never mind, don't put me in, dude.
What did you say, Eggroll?
I said, can you put me in your comics as an egg?
I already have.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
like I put like on the back of my art book, which I'm working on, like there's an egg roll just like sitting on a little step. So you're in
No
there.
way.
Yeah, yeah.
Wait, how did you guys meet Daphne?
I met her through like being on I think just being on LiveJournal, and I think she was like friends with Anna Anthropy, who was like a video game developer that I worked with years and years ago. So, but I think I may have met her through. Actually, it's probably through Select Button, the video game forum.
Okay.
Which,
all right, yeah. So T-Bone, all right. That's
yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, so I think it's like someone I know kind of tangentially through Tim Rogers, your erstwhile bandmate. Yeah, but
Rock and roll blood brother.
well, yeah, he's like a kind of collector of cool people, I think, and you're certainly one, and Daphne was one, So I think I sort of knew you both through him, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Daphne started coming and Anthony started coming to like Video Ball,
Oh,
play testing and stuff like that. So that's
way.
literally like that's a way.
Oh, so you've met her?
Yeah, in real life.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I met her once at a signing as well.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh, then it looks like
really
I've met Daphne and hung out with Daphne for hours. Oh. So it's like,
yeah, no, I only like hung out with her at like a bar, which was I think it was like Anna Anthropy's book signing.
nice.
Yeah, Anna and Daphne were.
Yeah, I mean, even me and James, I think we've known each other the longest of most people on the Bone Juice collective, and we've only hung out once in Leeds a decade.
That's right. Yeah, Thought Bubble convention. Yeah, it was very brief.
I love the internet.
Yeah,
that's all I have to say about that. Like, I love the internet. I like this Bone Juice podcast, for example. Like, this is, I don't get to hang out with people. I mean, you guys might get to hang out with people that are cool all the time. I don't.
I avoid them.
Right.
I hate people. I push them away as much as possible.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, well, it's really weird because I mean, I don't know why I'm flying off on this tangent, but like, the internet is a dirty word in terms of having met people on them. I mean, it's slowly shifting, but I mean, it's sort of like this conceit about like online dating or whatever. Like back in the day, like we met on a dating site, and people were like, that's not real, and it's like, yeah, okay, it's essentially like another thing. It's the same with, I guess, hearing about you guys being friends with Daphne for years or whatever. It's literally because of the internet.
Yeah,
it's cool. I love that stuff. I think it's amazing. Do more people do that? Because beyond this group, like I didn't know Tim through the internet.
No, you met him like IRL.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I have any like super big internet friends. So it's amazing like to hear this stuff because I don't even experience it outside of this thing.
Well,
is it common?
I don't know. I don't. I think it's like more and more common. Yeah, like I think the way. I think we were almost like patient zero for how most of the world is. Like people who were kind of very internety 10 or 15 years ago, like we were basically living the life that now everyone lives. Like now everyone meets their partners on apps, and I think like I kind of tend to think the internet is actually a bad way to meet people. Like because for every like Brandon or Daphne who I've met, who I've known for like 10 years or more, there's been like a bunch of like fuckheads who are like, oh no, I shouldn't have ever been friends with them. That's
a little bit true in real life, but you can kind of ditch the real life people easier. Because I know more mentally ill people through being a comic book public person than I always go back to like I probably mentioned this before. I remember one time talking to Paul Pope, and he brought up like a internet furry that complains about me and him at different points, and he knew the guy's like handle, and I was like, I don't want to live in a world where one of the greatest living cartoonists knows about just like a mentally ill Twitter user,
it's crazy talking to Paul about that stuff because like Paul has like he's a big deal. Like he has like the same lawyer as like LeBron James or some shit. Like he's like he shouldn't have like his like these people should not be occupying any space in his head, but like they do. Like these fucking assholes like live rent free up there. It's a shame. Like he's fucking Paul Pope. Like he shouldn't be thinking about this stuff. He should be kicking ass.
Yeah, but I mean that's also another good thing to kind of realize. It's like if like like I see a lot of things happen and experience a lot of stuff where I'm like, okay, I need to follow my own advice here, and so it is good in my own brain to be like, don't let this stuff go into your. I had a friend yesterday, one of my friend Simon Roy that I worked with on Profit, sent me a link of something, and he was like, "Did you see this?" And I was like, "I don't know. I got it blocked. I don't know what it is." He's like, "Why would you block that?" And I was like, "Because I don't have time for bullshit. I'm trying to make comic books and have a good life. I don't want to sit around and go through like what is X-Men Junkie 69 up to right now on Twitter with their no life."
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I think Nick Gazin said it best. Like, comic books is about being alone. That's why we got into it. Just it's not about like the community or the people around it. It's like it's about sitting by yourself and reading something and blocking out everybody else. That's why I liked it. Because I had no control over my environment. I had no control over the insane people who lived in my house with me when I was like a baby. When I was really little. But what I did have control over is that I could ultra focus on this piece of paper and the people within it, and that's like why I got into it. Like to kind of have a little domain separate from everybody else, and that's why I loved it. And it's kind of strange that now it comes part and parcel with like this fire hose of insanity that is the internet kind of community. So, Bone Juice is brought to you by the comics that we make and create. We are working cartoonists and pizza restaurateurs, and we keep, and that's what pays the bills and brings this podcast to you for free.
Hit my brain like horns, in numb to nothing, wings stuck on liquid bones.
Brandon would like to plug his new book, Surviving on Mars. It's a book about what it's like to be. It's basically the things that we talk about on this podcast, but it's expressed with poetry and beauty and a delicacy that we could not. The spoken. Brandon, please take over.
Very nice of you, Jim.
That was pretty good. I think that was pretty great, though. That was a nice.
Yeah, I wonder. I assume it'll be out because I'm doing my diary book. My 110-page diary book is finally coming together after kind of noodling on it for years.
Yeah.
Along with, the Moonray stuff that I'm finishing up now.
Out with livingtheline.com.
Yeah, and you've got your UK in a Bad Way coming out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not soon enough, but it is coming out. Yeah, next year, baby. And it was the talk of Napoli. Like it's people love it, so I can't wait to bring it to people in English. And but what's more exciting than that is Zach. What are the new flavors on what's hot at the Hesh's Pizza?
The pizza just stays the same. The pizza's just sick and it's local. But what I have is Nighthammer's records coming out June 28th.
Oh,
so that's what I'm really stoked about. The music that I sent you guys is now have a vinyl release.
Hell yeah!
Yeah, I haven't heard this.
It's crazy. It sounded so legit. It's like
I'll after this.
Eggroll. I finally listened to Slicing Grandpa, by the way. Eggroll?
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Because in the second episode, Eggroll's like showing the local band that his friend is in, Slicing Grandpa. So when I edited episode 2 today, I put Slicing Grandpa in there, and it's kind of amazing. Like it's everyone. You should also check out Slicing Grandpa, Eggroll's friend's band.
Yeah.
And while you're at it, shake the dust mites off your brain balls because it's the 10-year anniversary of James Harvey's Masterplasty.
So wait, Zach, can we have like a Bone Juice flavor of pizza or something, or like a King City pizza or some shit like that?
I would, but that's one, I take what I do seriously, and that's a tall order because I have to then condense everything into a very refined collection of things. And then put it on, make it edible
after each of us and call it a day.
Yeah, exactly. Then I have to take immediately. I think of apples only because that's the first edible thing, and then from there it's like I've already violated some serious pizza laws, so I'll just kitchen sink the thing after that.
Right. So you're out of San Francisco, and James, what bizarre Queens nipple province town are you in England?
Well, there is a street called Queen's Walk, just like one street over, but it's I'm in Nottingham, UK.
Of course, you're in the Warhammer Center.
Yeah, right next. We're like 10 minutes away from Warhammer World.
Excuse me. When I think about my father, sometimes there is an involuntary release of urine.
Where's Eggroll out of?
What's that? Sorry.
Oh, dude, I'm in upstate New York, man. I'm in the small town where Mark Twain was born here.
Yeah,
and
nice.
Yeah.
You're in Adam Warren country.
Shoot, he's in upstate.
Yeah.
Do you live near Utica?
Nah, I live near.
What about Synecdoche?
Nah.
No.
I live in this place called Elmira.
Elmira, Town of the Dark. Okay.
And your local comic book shop is called Heroes Your Mum Threw Away. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I know stuff.
Yeah.
Is that real? Is that a real?
Yeah, it's called Heroes Your Mum Threw Away. I look because we talk about it on episode 2.
Yeah.
About
this.
It was when I was not there. Like Zach and Eggroll had this big conversation, and one of the things was Eggroll trying to tell him "Heroes Your Mum Threw Away," and he said it like 5 times, and Zach never got it.
Like, what is it called, dude? It's my brain deleted. I was like, "That's not real. That's not real."
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. It's called Heroes Your Mom Out Comic Book Shop. Yeah, that's.
I was hoping it was Mum, like the way that James was saying.
Oh, sorry.
And you've got a copy of Santos Sisters. Or 2. That's a fun book.
Santos Sisters. What is that?
It's basically like drawn in the Dan DeCarlo Archie style.
Wow.
I think Floating World Comics out of Portland publishes it, and it's done by 2 guys named Greg and a guy named Fake, and it's fun.
It looks legit.
It's printed like an old. It's kind of toothy, old paper.
Yeah. Fake. Yeah.
God, dude, I don't know. I put a picture of. I have my like a quarter of what's left of like my comic book collection. It's not really a collection as much as all the things that I just bought.
Mm-hmm.
And man, there's a lot of painful stuff in there.
I'm trying to do a purge. I can show you guys. I have some excellent comic books here, by the way.
Super Richie. Oh yeah, I love how much you love Richie Rich.
I love Richie Rich. Oh, also this book's fantastic.
Whoa! Look at that bum.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Love it. Wait,
yeah,
okay.
I'm doing the thing with the writer of this, Daniel Friedman, soon.
What's the thrust of Richie Rich? Like, what do you like? Is it just a serialized story about a little rich boy? What is Richie Rich, man? Like, just like
Richie Rich is insane.
Like, he's
in 2 sentences.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to break down. So I'll give you why it's interesting. Is probably more interesting. So Casper existed long before Richie Rich. I think it's from the 1915 or something, made by Vikings before Christopher Columbus or something. And
candlelight, because there was no electricity.
Right.
Exactly. And basically in probably the 60s or something, there's this guy whose name is escaping me, who created all of the characters that look like Casper.
Right, yeah.
He made Richie Rich and Hot Stuff and basically all the Harvey comic stuff that we associate.
Richie Rich does look like the living boy of Casper.
Yeah, like The Simpsons had that classic joke, which is like,
I was gonna say,
is Casper the ghost of Richie Rich? And then Lisa says maybe he realized how futile the pursuit of money was and took his own life, which is. And I think it's like
that's even related. And that's sick as hell.
Yeah,
I like that. That's really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Warren
like,
Kramer, that's the guy's name. Warren Kramer is a guy who's drawn as many comics as Jack Kirby, but I can't even remember his name, even though I'm a fan.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So at the start, is he I guess in form just a creation, like a what is it, Hanna-Barbera sort of thing, where there's like a billion different weird iterations of like the same body.
There's only 2 versions of Richie Rich that kind of matter in my mind. There's the Warren Kramer comic book, and then there's the animated one where they kind of aged him up a little bit. I mean, there's the Macaulay Culkin movie too, which is fun, but that's not as real. But yeah, it kind of is. It's more insane than Scrooge McDuck rules. It's basically like he is insanely wealthy, and it's just like these little stories about like burglars showing up and trying to steal all of his money, or like him being like I read a story recently, fun, where him and he has a bunch of poor kid friends he hangs out with. That's like his crew.
Yeah.
And one of them, they're hanging around, and his butler casually mentions that he like went to this place where the snowflakes were as big as a car or something. And the girl he's hanging out with, this Richie Rich is hanging out with, like, I'm learning to detect lies. I think he's lying. And they're like, and Richie Rich is like, let's go to this place. So they take his like gold helicopter and they fly to this place. And it's so cold when they land that their words freeze and they can't hear things. So they start trying to swear, and it just because those words are going to be hotter. And then Sasquatch shows up, and to chase off the Sasquatch, they have to swear. And Richie Rich finds a little portable heater, and he heats up his words so they can actually come out of his mouth. And they chase off the Sasquatch, and they're like, "Oh, this place really was as cold as you said. I guess you weren't lying." And they leave, but the snowflakes never return. The thing that he was supposedly lying about. So it's this just insane logic and just weird stories like that.
Didn't we work out like do you remember like we looked at how many Harvey comics were coming out every week or something, and it was like or I think when they're doing like 35 or something like 35 every month, like 35 unique. It was more than that, wasn't it? It was like
a lot of them are probably reprints of different material. Also, I really like you guys can see this, the proportions here.
Oh wow, he's got such a huge head compared to the
he's really giant. What?
I think of it as like there was a thing that they would do in medieval art where somebody was more important, they would draw them larger, so there'll be like a giant Jesus next to a disciple or something. And I think
dude.
Like that.
Well, Brandon told me, like, I remember you told me that, like, it was just one guy drawing all 30 comics every month, and we worked out,
like,
like,
all the covers, at least. I don't know if he had to. They're not really credited.
Because I was trying to work out if that was possible, and I figured out it was, assuming that he only spent like 2 minutes on every panel, which is possible, assuming like he has a team of inkers and colorists who are just like taking the pages as soon as he's done it, and just like. Well,
sometimes you can tell it's not him. Like, look at this dot. Look at this off-model dot here.
Oh wow! Well, yeah, she's a giant. Like, it's so crazy how the like proportions are completely different to their parents. Like their heads are enormous. You'd think like the head and
and the way they draw adults in here, I really enjoy. Also, here's a Jack Davis ad, which I enjoy.
Whoa, that's cool.
Oh no way!
Yeah.
So okay, I mean, you guys find that's like an economic sort of function of certain shit, right? Where it's like, oh, the body's off or something like that, and they just run with it. Like, it's like kind of like television, like you shoot everything in like a day or whatever for the next like 4 weeks, and like doesn't matter what's going on, it's just like super snappy. So it's kind of like the business of comics. Is that the reason?
It's weird. Yeah, it's like I mean, because if they did that at Disney, people would be like, okay, that's wrong. Like that's not what we do here. Like the parents, like sure, obviously like. A little kid's head is probably about as big as the body below it, but the head should be the same size as the adult's head, even though the adult is like 5 or 6 heads tall. Like it's just like I don't want to call it amateurish, but it's eccentric. It's like a weird mistake that no one's ever corrected, and now it's just like part of the style. Is what it looks like to me.
I mean, for that, it was like comics being made for 10-year-olds, so I think it was. Like I really like it, and I like the craft of it, but it's not Walt Kelly, it's not Will Eisner. It's a great, it is what it is.
Sort of honest, I guess.
Yeah, they're cranking it out. Like there's a certain. I always want to be careful of the words because there's a certain element of hack work which is also good.
Yeah.
Because there's a type of hack work where it's just like somebody like. I'm sure there's a Marvel comic that came out this month which is like near unreadable. And everyone just like banged it out because it's a paycheck, and the writer just like had 6 other books to write that week and all this stuff. But somehow, I'd say that one of the qualities that I really like in Richie Rich is it's fun. Like they managed to make it fun and readable.
Yeah.
And so, from my point of view, where I'm like trying to produce work sometimes at a faster pace than I would like to for financial reasons. Or just for deadline reasons, like you kind of have to exist on shelves on some level to have a regular fan base, and I'm not quite at the place where somebody's like, another 10 years, J.D. Salinger can put out his,
Brandon, should we get Casey Jones in here as a special guest?
Did you get the mask? What's going on?
I can ask her if I'll text her. She's far away on the other wing of my apartment.
Oh, dude, I thought you were talking about Casey Jones, the guy from Ninja Turtles.
I was.
I also know an April O'Neil, weirdly enough, in the same city. I mean, that's her former name.
Right.
Okay,
yeah.
Before we start with Streets of Fire, because this is like, I'm really excited about this. Brandon, it's Richie Rich. Is there?
Hey, Brandon.
Is it?
Wait. Hey, Brandon. You also know Raphael. This fucking guy.
Is there anything masquerading in Richie Rich? Like, is it like, is there any sort of like genius subtext, or is it kind of just an exercise in entertainment and facilitating the established rules of the world or whatever, the art and stuff?
I'm too close to. Casey refuses to come out because she's not presentable enough. She's has her skin off right now. No, but I'm too close to it. Like, I really love it. Like, it's really good. Like stuff like Tintin and Richie Rich and Asterix were things that I think those were my formative things that really made me love comics. So returning to them and really enjoying them still is almost like, oh, that's why I've devoted my entire life to this. Yeah. So I personally like it, but also when people don't like Tintin, when people are like, Tintin's boring, I'm like, oh, that not for you. Because like there's a television animated version of Tintin where they take out the craziest opium and alcoholism and weird racial dynamics of comics made in the 40s, and it's just like, you took all the weird fun stuff out.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Good enough for me.
There's a Tintin where he frees a bunch. He like uncovers a slave trade, isn't there? Like, and he is that the Red Sea sharks? Like he like.
Awesome.
Is that and he finds out there's like the hull of the boat that they've been stowing away on or something is just full of like African slaves, and he saves their lives, and then Tintin is like celebrated as the man who freed the slaves at the end of the story. I remember
first
that one.
Man to go to the moon in Tintin Universe too.
That's right. Yeah.
There's a bunch of. I mean, I could rant about Erge and Tintin forever, but one of the. Like, he does things that just are so socially unacceptable now. Like, there's one episode where one issue where they can't find him on a boat, and there's like an old man that they think is Tintin in disguise, and so they beat him up, and it's just an old man. And then eventually, Tintin realizes that he reveals that he's been in blackface the whole time.
I remember. Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Whoa, is that a Tintin tattoo? Yes. Whoa, it's the Cigars of the Pharaoh tattoo.
Excellent.
No way, that's amazing.
And on this arm, I've got my prophet tattoo.
Oh, very cool, very cool.
Righteous.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and Eggroll quickly with the Cigars of the Pharaoh.
That's
It
impressive.
was a really fun, weird book.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. That's all.
Although in my reread, that was not my favorite Tintin book.
What was your favorite?
I really enjoy I think it's called The Black Island. The one where
the one with they go to Scotland, yeah, and he's like in a kilt on a boat and in the cover. I think one thing I really love about like how Hergé works is that if you open a Tintin book at any random page, you're going to find someone getting bonked on the head. Like, let's try this theory out. So, Eggroll, can you just like open it at any random page?
I don't know if it works on every page, but I made a list of all of the. It's actually in my diary book that's coming out.
Really?
Surviving on Mars. Is I made a list of. I talk about like going through every Tintin book and listing all of the knockouts. I think there's only 2 books that don't have any knockouts, and one of them is just a shark.
So okay. So on that page, is there one on that page, or is my?
I don't think there's. He does because he does do a lot of like. What's it actually like the joke? There's a joke on that page though, because there
is a joke on that page. Yeah.
He goes up to a guy who's just selling a bunch of junk, and he's like, "I'm not going to be tricked by this guy." And then the next panel is him
tricked by that guy
wearing a top hat with a giant bow tie, being like, "What a great deal I got!"
Right, he's an entertainer. Like he never forgets that his job here is to entertain the audience, and I think. It's because Tintin comics, they came out week by week. Like every page was like an installment, basically, in like the French.
Right, then they'd reworked that a lot for the because Tintin magazine came out and Le Sort and all those things.
Le Petit Ventin.
Eventually, he was just making it just for the books.
Oh right, really?
Yeah, later in life is interesting. He became good friends with Andy Warhol and was really into pop art.
That's crazy.
There's an Eggroll portrait by Warhol, which is
I didn't know about that.
that
He was definitely in touch with Spielberg, and he told Spielberg that he was the only person who could make his the Tintin movie, and then he finally did, and it wasn't very good. There you go. There's a bonk on the head.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, although I enjoyed the Tintin movie much more when I watched it after reading the books because there's so many nods to different Tintin books. I just don't really like that CGI style.
It doesn't quite look very good. Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, but there's like I think they did some really spectacular things. Like the way it's animated, like the physical comedy of the performers in that film perfectly matches the sensibilities of how Hergé draws. Like if like someone gets bonked on the head and they kind of like stagger around and fall over with their legs in the air, like it's exactly how Hergé might have done it, but like it's beautifully crafted. I think it's really the physical performances are like quite just very well considered. I think it's just a shame about the style of it, you know.
Yeah. Do people not to knock this off, but like do people talk about Spielberg in that way yet? How he's like when it comes to like his fantasy stuff or his fantasy adventure stuff, he is like he's able to hit perfect things, right? Like the Indiana Jones movies are like incredible to watch. If and with the lens of each of them is a different style of fantasy adventure, like comics, or if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade is like the Prince Valiant style comics of like the 40s or 50s or more like 50s and 60s. Like Indiana Jones Temple of Doom and Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark, they're like two slightly different pulp comics. I mean, if you again, I'm saying this is from a hunch of like a schmuck, but I know you can see a lot of this stuff like you're saying with Tintin, the ability for him to create movement and action and stuff infused or from the way this guy would draw. Spielberg's good at that, man. He's amazing, and that I know that's a thing. Like this guy's like a fan of comic books, and he like finds a way better than anybody else. I mean, Crystal Skull is like it's almost like a '90s comic book. You know,
you mean it's sad?
Listen,
isn't good.
Oh man, I love Crystal Skull. Crystal Skull is like number 2 on my list from greatest to least greatest. Dude.
Well, it's funny you bring up comic books, like because Spielberg and Lucas were definitely inspired heavily by comic books, especially Raiders of the Lost Ark. It takes whole scenes from like the Carl Barks DuckTales comics, you know, like the Scrooge McDuck comics, like the whole scene where they're like running from a boulder after like trying to get the idol is just all from Scrooge McDuck and his nephews.
Do people talk about that? They're too busy talking about like, well, the lighting's really good and the way he like frames them. Like, well, yeah, this guy is excellent at transposing his inspiration, right? And like still making it his own, but it's like it's such a nice. The details of doing that is not easy.
What I really love about something like Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I guess it goes for Temple of Doom as well, is like every single character, even if it's like Indiana Jones has to just get on a boat, right? It'll show you or a plane, the seaplane. It'll show you who the pilot is, and the pilot has got a little gimmick. Like his personality is sold to you in like a second. Like because the pilot will be like fishing, and he's like got his own little eccentricity. Like no one is just like there's the driver.
Jock.
Yeah, it's Jock. Yeah. You remember who he is, even though you only see him once for like a couple of seconds.
Yeah,
and that's like the magic of Spielberg, and I guess kind of Lucas as well. Like when they were just like firing on all cylinders, and that's like what I try to learn from those stories is like I don't want anyone to just be like a throwaway character. Like I want everyone to sort of feel like they have something that kind of makes them compelling and memorable, you know? Because they were just so good at that. Like
I've in my own weird non-comic making life. When it comes to film or even comics or anything like that, it's always like an aspect of that storytelling to me. I've described it as, everybody's allowed to say something cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's I think it's that easy though for a lot of that stuff. It's like allow somebody to say something cool as well. Like not just have like this Aaron Sorkin sort of like indignation that sells like the main character. Like let everybody say something cool and have it be the dynamic between. I don't know. It's just
Yeah, everyone.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Whoa, what's this? Whoa.
It's a sexy furry comic.
Who did this?
It's really good, actually.
This is the only.
It's really. Oh, nice! It's your penthouse.
Yeah, it's my penthouse cover. They haven't responded to me about this, so I suspect that they're like, "What the hell is this?" And they're not going to pay me for it. I don't quite know. We'll see.
I'm sure I'd bug them again because I did like a 8-page thing from Diary Comics, my Diary Comics in there, and I sent it off to them and didn't hear back. They were like very kind of frantically like, "We're going to press tomorrow. Can you send it back?"
Oh shit! Okay.
And I was in Vegas. And reworked the pages from things. Also, he has a really good Cheech Wizard cover.
Whoa, Cheech Wizard.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice. Yo, that reminds me of Apple. She's going to be having a show with
Mark.
Oh yeah, with Mark Baudet.
On both son.
Yeah, who's just basically doing.
I might be gone to them.
Isn't that a weird thing? Like Mark Bodie is just kind of being Vaughn Bodie Part 2 and drawing his characters and like.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Where else does that happen? Not really anywhere, you know. Like.
I mean, if you look at like a craft level, there's a lot of people that kind of will follow their parents. I mean, there's a lot of artists that I guess are children of him. You know, like Frank Herbert's son carried on Dune after him.
Yeah. Oh, really? Wow. No way.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone enjoyed it, but he did it.
Yeah.
I've never read them.
I have rules against reading those books.
Well, Kanye West's daughter is rapping and like.
Children of Dune?
Oh yeah, she was good in that. I like that Vultures album gets a lot of play over here.
It's like that album. People like saying, well, Kanye's irrelevant and whatever, but like that album has got like an incredible amount of spins. Like people are listening to that fucking thing, and like that song Carnival is like the #1 song. You know, it's like it went to #1, but it's also like got more listens than any other rap song this year, which is
I'm
insane.
a big fan of the song Hood Rat. That's a good one.
Hood Rat, Hood Rat, Hood Rat. Yeah, that one's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, although I'm pushing 40 and I'm pushing 50 soon, and I just listen to Eminem and Kanye West, so I don't know if I have my finger on the pulse.
Well, they're old dudes as well, you know. Like, so I mean, they're about. I think they're in between. Yeah, because Eminem's 50.
Yeah, I found an Eminem shirt at a thrift store in Las Vegas last week, but it was a little too small.
Yeah.
What's your take on the Houdini, guys?
I didn't think it was very good. Like, this is Eminem's new single. Like, because the whole idea is like he's bringing Slim Shady back. Like, but like what we miss about Slim Shady, if you want to put a name on his old style, is we miss how like funny and witty and like snappy it was. And he's not really capable of that anymore. It's not that he just like retired that character. It's just that he can't do that anymore because he's kind of the wells run dry because he's been doing it.
I mean, I like his new style stuff. It's different because it is just like, you know, it's like later Mobius. You get a different version of the artist, but he's still super competent.
I suppose so.
Yeah, I don't know.
That sample is atrocious, man. That Steely Dan sample is atrocious.
Oh, you're talking about Abracadabra? Steve Miller Band, right?
Steve Miller, sorry.
Yeah.
Steve Miller. I
like the Megan Thee Stallion line in it. I thought that was really good.
What was that?
It was how, you know, he made a pun off of getting a feature from someone. He was like, "Do you think I could get a shot at a feat from?" Which is like a pun off of her getting shot in the feet, which I think is hilarious.
Oh, is that what that was? God, like it's so kind of because like what I miss about old Eminem is that it was instantaneous. Like you didn't have to like it was just like you knew what it wasn't overly clever, even though like there was this kind of underlying cleverness. Like there's like if you like analyze a line like my words are like a dagger with a jagged edge that will stab you in the head with your fag or les, like which is so stupid and like but it's like funny, but like
I don't know if that aged well, but yeah,
it didn't. No, I don't think so. No, but
yeah, I think that's the whole thing. Is a lot of what made him famous now is like he doesn't say fag, like he made a point of saying that he doesn't say it anymore. And so I think a lot of it is maybe him dealing with. I mean, I'm reading too much into it, but kind of dealing with what made him famous and being able to say everything in an era where he's now 50 and chooses not to say everything. and kind of contending with that a little
Yeah,
bit.
and I think the idea is like if Slim Shady comes back, what comes back is like the lack of limitations. The idea that he will say anything and everything in an age where like most people kind of pride themselves on their ability to sort of toe the line and recognize what words people don't like and what subjects are off limits. And I think like
it's almost like we're living in a time that's a reaction to the time that he became famous, and so it is an interesting thing. So I was going to say my favorite Eminem song from the old era is the freestyle thing he did called "Fub You Cubba," where he talks about being so bored that he makes a new language.
It's making me so bored, I'ma just make a new language. Fubba you cover, upper you upper uber. You can suffer back my big to a tuba. Some other do my llama. I'm not a human, I'm a suicidal, supersonic, suicidal Unabomber.
And at the end he says, hip hop hasn't been the same since Tupac moved to Cuba.
Nice.
Since Tupac moved to Cuba. Yeah. Yeah.
We have...
But there's like always like quite complicated rhyme schemes going on, even in that old stuff. Like the cleverness was kind of hidden and under the surface, I suppose.
Yeah, but there's a level of dad rap, like like KRS will do songs where there's a line where he says, "People get shocked when I walk into Denny's," and it's like that's a funny brag to me because it's such a dad line of like, when I go into Denny's, people are amazed that he's in there, and I feel like there's a bit of that with Eminem where he'll say things like that's so earnest and kind of corny, but also like good.
I think that's kind of why that's why I love listening to Rick Ross. Like he had like this one line which is like, "When I walk into the room, you can even hear the silence." And I think like maybe people are thinking, who is that disgusting fat bastard?
A friend of mine would call that dumb-telligent. That's what his.
Yeah. Well, that's what.
Rick Ross is one of those people. It's like I know it takes something to get like to a certain level of fame of being a competent and showing up. But there's certain people I'm like, how has he not forgotten to breathe?
Well, I listened to his autobiography like on Audible, and like it's several times during that book, like it sounds like his ghostwriter was just trolling him, like just. So he'd like say, "I've always been a humble man and I've always been down to earth," and like the very next sentence will be, "When I was riding in my gold-plated limousine with my own face like sculpted into the hood ornament," and
he did wear
a lot of self-awareness.
A medallion of his own face for a while, right?
Yeah, that was amazing. He had a pendant of his own face, and then he had a pendant of himself wearing a pendant of his own face. Which is just, I think that was the moment I took notice of Rick Ross. I was like, this is a man whose music I want to listen to for the next decade.
Real fourth wall
shit. I feel like Riff Raff would fit your...
That's probably true, yeah. I've always kind of been...
What happened to Riff Raff?
Oh, he's around. He's doing country and synthwave stuff.
Oh, of course.
Dude, everyone's going to country.
It remains like the king of all old music industry stuff. It's a vibrant industry.
Yeah, there's also
hands over fist.
There's also a certain level of becoming so popular. I'm working with this artist Anta to kind of edit his new. I'm helping him edit his new series of books, and Anta's always talking about how he wants to go kind of mainstream, but he is known for doing gay furry porn.
Right.
And I always tell him that it's like amazing that like I feel like he tried to do art on the hardest mode to make it accessible to people imaginable. Yeah. Like his work is so good that you can show it to anyone and they can see the quality in it, but it is gay furry porn. I think that's the thing with country music.
So you're calling that's transcendental, yeah. Dude.
But I think like
everybody's like, I like everything but country, and I'm a huge Merle Haggard fan, so I can't.
Gay furry porn is like the country music of cartooning in a way,
Wait, isn't it? I think it's the reverse, right?
Well,
cartooning is the country to gay furry porn.
Yeah, which is weird because I feel like superhero comics are more embarrassing than gay furry porn.
It's true
nowadays. Yeah.
But like if you're making gay furry porn, there's always going to be a built-in audience for that, right? Like there's like if you're a gay and you're a furry, you will love that, right? So do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a niche within a niche, and if you're going to do, and I think it's one of the powers of comics is you can do stuff for a very specific audience, and those people And I mean, that's how the internet works too. You can be like, it's people who are into feet and Star Trek and hate the color blue. Here's our Discord for them.
Yeah, I need to do something for an audience one day. Like, just like try and make something that I think someone would like instead of just like trying to follow my own muse.
Oh, Eggroll's looking at Little Ego now, which is like a porn. It's kind of like a erotic parody of Little Nemo in Slumberland.
That's
amazing.
crazy.
I just bought a copy of it, actually.
It's by Heavy Metal. Who drew this?
What is his name? Gardino or something?
Wow, oh, yeah. It's Italian, but of course.
Yeah, he did some very dry, like detective style comics too, and then that. Whoa. And the funny thing about this, or one of the coolest things about this book, is he's actually parodying. Sometimes he'll parody specific Little Nemo panels, like obviously that's the bed.
Yeah.
And this is an idea I think that would not fly now, which is really funny to think about because it's basically like, you know, this thing about like a fun child exploring his dreams. What if it was like a hot babe?
Yeah, I know. So wait, can you show us like some of the? So wait, is it so? It's all like these big panels like this, or are there like
comics? There's
comics?
Be nudity on every page. I don't know, but I think
we can blur it out if we. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Okay. Little Ego. Yeah, I'm interested in Little Nemo because it's one of those things like Sherlock Holmes. It's like purely in the public domain, like Robin Hood too, I suppose. Like, so anyone can make a Little Nemo comic if they want to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so like but Alan Moore did one. He did it and he called it Big Nemo, and it was like, and he did the thing that Alan Moore always does, which is he created like in like just within like 3 or 4 pages. He created all this lore and backstory to Little Nemo that is completely consistent with every other Little Nemo that came before. Like so like anyone making new Little Nemos could do worse than to look at what Alan Moore did because he's kind of laid the groundwork for like a whole Little Nemo series. Basically, he.
Interesting. I remember being frustrated when I worked on Prophet. I kind of tried to strip mine the Alan Moore stuff, as everyone in comics does, and it was useless to me because he went on a more like whimsical magic direction, and I was trying to go with like science fiction.
It's so insane. Like this could be an Alan Moore podcast. Like the amount they have to say about like his work. Like it's so crazy. Just like if Alan Moore like writes one issue of something, then the next 30 years of that property will just all call back to the work Alan Moore did on it. Like, for example, in the Marvel universe, like Alan Moore was the one who came up with like, was it Earth 313? Like he named the universe, and he came up with the concept of like numbering universes. And
it's a little bit of both. Alan Moore is a good writer, and comics is full of talentless hacks.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
I don't think Alan Moore is like he is an exceptional comic writer, but he's like. You know, there's other great people that have not been given, been given that kind of position.
But like and
they just don't get ripped off as much because of the kind of low reading comprehension of people in comics.
But there's Doctor Who. Like he wrote like a couple of issues of Doctor Who, and he created this thing called the Time War, and so now like 40 years on, like Doctor Who like still constantly refers to this Time War that he was just like a throwaway idea of his.
Hello, it's me. So we recorded so much for this episode that we actually had to split it into 2. And so the next part, we actually finally get to talking about the subject of the episode, which is the 1985 movie Streets of Fire, which is a unholy piece of shit, but with full of incredible ideas and visuals and some really compelling performances, and so we had a lot of fun talking about that, so I hope you tune in for that one.